Hi guys, this is Crossy and welcome to part number 2 of how to become an eSports commentator, where we're going to have a quick chat about equipment and sound and that kind of thing. And it's also a chance for me to talk very briefly about my new rig that I'm going to be using. Having just come back from the Insomnia 58 multiplayer event, and for the finals of that we were treated to the Twitch stage, the main stage, where they had a full TV production crew and top of the line equipment. And since then I decided that I needed to make a bit of an upgrade, and even though I haven't gone for the £330 headset that we were using, I have put in a decent amount of money into the whole thing to make it work. So just wanted to touch base with you guys and give you a bit of an idea about what you can do as far as equipment goes if you want to get things up and running. Now, what's probably going to happen is if you want to get into esports commentary, you probably play some kind of esports and you probably are used to talking with teammates. So you've probably got a headset which you use in-game that's got a microphone attached to it, which may or may not be of any kind of half-decent standard. And to be fair, if you go and spend £100 in a headset, then chances are the microphone for it is going to be half-decent and you can at least use that to get started. But let's say you haven't got that and you had feedback and your microphone's terrible and it's just not good enough for someone to be listening to you for an hour on end talking through the thing. So let's have a look at what you could potentially do. So what you can do, for example, for a nice cheap purchase, you've already got the headset, so you've got the in-game sound. You just need to level up your microphone a little bit. So what you could do is get a USB microphone such as this one, which I've used before. This is a Pro Sound microphone. It's a £20 job from Maplin. USB, plug and play, sits on your desk, no problems at all. Big problem I have with this is that it picks up mic clicks and that sort of thing because it's going to be in that kind of region. But this will probably do the job to get you up and running for £20, and it's a good starter to begin with. Now, just to stress, what people will say more often than not is you get what you pay for. The more money you put into something, the better it's going to be. And that tends to pan out quite a lot, whether we're talking about microphones or whether we're talking about, for example, if you've got a fairly high-end hi-fi system, they say if you've got a £1,000 turntable to play your records on, but your preamps and your cables are terrible, it's going to sound terrible. Same with like guitars and that sort of thing. Now, I don't 100% buy into that, just to throw it out there. I mean, I've got a £100 guitar amp and I've put a £100 guitar into it and it's actually sounded pretty good. So I'm not sure that's necessarily true, but there are extra things that you can work with and you get as you start to move up the ladder, as we'll talk about. So that's a good little solution. I've used that before, and the comments that I got was that, well, maybe not. The reason I bought that microphone, the Pro Sound, is because the microphone I had on my headset broke and didn't work and I needed something else, and that was a quick solution. But it was a £100 odd headset that broke. It was a Sennheiser, and the microphone was pretty top drawer on that, and I was using that for commentary, and that USB solution kind of got me back to the same level that I was at before. So that's not a bad, cheap little solution to get you going if your headset microphone isn't quite good enough. Now, what you can do from there is you can then go and spend a bit more on your gaming headset. And then with that, you should get a better microphone that comes with it. Of course, do your research and see what's out there. And, some will invest more in the actual headphone to make it sound better for your gaming so you can hear footsteps, that kind of thing, and kind of leave the microphone alone. So you have to go and check your reviews and see, and they're not all the same. And there's a couple I've used. There was that Sennheiser where the microphone broke, so I haven't gone back to that. But I've also used, let's see, this is my normal headset, a Roccat Cave. This is super high production, as you can tell. And there's another, the Plantronics Rig 500E that I used for a little while for the UK Masters. The sponsor was Plantronics. They sent some headsets to us. And the feedback for these, it's been a bit 50-50. Some people preferred the Roccat Cave. Some people have preferred the Rig 500E, the microphone on that, and the sound quality, etc. So I think the problem that you have with that is you don't want to have that kind of disparity, if nothing else. You don't want some people thinking, oh, that sounds great, some people saying that doesn't sound too good. You just want to hit that point where everyone's in agreement with the quality. Now, if everyone's in agreement that it sounds terrible, then it's time for an upgrade. If everyone's in agreement that it sounds great, then that's the most important thing, because you don't want people to be worrying about what your sound quality is like. You want people to worry about what you're saying and what your commentary standards like, and that's the important thing. So you want to kind of remove any kind of distractions from it. Now, the Rig 500E, I'm not sure exactly what that is on retail, but the headset was about 80 quid, there or thereabouts. So if you spend sort of 80 to 100 pounds on a gaming headset to get the microphone from it, you may well have some problems, just as a heads up. That's just something to throw in and something to be careful with. And you're kind of thinking from that point, is it worth just spending a bit more to get something that I know is going to do the job? And this is where I think my big recommendation comes from. And this comes to the new rig that I've got now. So at the moment now I am rocking an Audio-Technica BPH S1, which is a broadcast headset. So you get noise cancelling out of it, which works pretty well. And the Sennheisers that I was using that were 330 odd quid for just the headset, you know, we were sitting out there with 1,000 odd computers in front of us, the Twitch stage directly behind us, blasting music and, you know, various games and commentaries and that sort of thing. And then I'm sitting here with, you know, commentating the game with a guy next to me, and we can pretty much just hear the game sound and each other and everything else going on around us at this massive event. You know, it's not a factor. We're not hearing it. So those were next level, and then the microphone quality was top draw. With this, I haven't spent near as much money on them, so the noise cancelling isn't going to be quite as substantial, I wouldn't expect, and maybe a bit of a drop-off in the microphone quality. But it's an XLR microphone going through a mixer, which I'll show you in a minute, and already this is a big upgrade. So I can say straight off the bat, the microphone quality, you know, if you A/B it compared to what I've been using recently, it's an improvement, and that's the only thing that really matters in my mind. And then as far as mixers, it's super easy to connect a mixer, just a normal mixer, into a sound card. You just need a couple of cables. If you've ever seen them, those cables that are red and white, and then you can get those with a converter which goes into a jack, and you just get one of those for the microphone input and then one of those for the input from the computer into the mixer, and then you're golden and you're sorted with that front. But what you can do to make it super easy, which is what I've gone for, if I can find the picture of it, I've got one of these, which is a Yamaha AG06. This is a USB mixer, which again makes it super easy. USB cable in the back, plug it into your PC, bit of software, and then this does everything for you. And then as far as tweaks, you tweak them on an app, which you download onto your system, a little program, which is actually quite advanced when you get into it, the things that you can tweak. And then from there, you can make your changes, save your changes, and then they're saved in the mixer. So, for example, I spend quite a bit of time away. I've got a laptop up at that other location where I can do commentary and the like. So all I've got to do is unplug the cable from my PC, take the mixer up there, my settings are saved, plug it in, job done, and I can move around. Same thing if you want to go to an event. The event doesn't necessarily have the best setup. You can just bring your mixer in, and then with this, it's got a second input for a microphone, so I can easily just plug a Codecaster in as long as they've got an XLR headset mic type setup, and then we are cooking on gas. So that's what I'm working with at the moment. And then this gives you extra flexibility as well, because I've got it to the point where the game sound in the game, of course, you don't want that to be as loud as you are. You want that dialed back a bit. And that normally means I have to then tweak my game settings constantly. I'll turn that down, turn it up, tweak it a little bit. And then I have to then put it up when I'm playing myself so I can hear everything. With this, I don't need to. I've got it dialed in now at the point where the microphone's where I want it to be, where the game sound is where I want it to be when I'm broadcasting, and then I've got a monitor level, which is basically what I hear in my headphones, and I can crank that up a little bit when needs be. So the only thing I need to start thinking about with that is if I've got a co-commentator that I'm working with, making sure their levels are right. But super easy to do that, because if you put the monitor at the 12 o'clock position in the middle, everything that you are hearing through your headphones as feedback is basically how it's going to end up coming across in the broadcast. So I can easily tell from game sound and from listening to myself and then listening to my co-commentator how our levels are, and I can make tweaks as necessary before we even go. So this makes it super easy to do multiple things on it. And then with it, this particular mixer, it's got like a compressor and an EQ built into it, which you can tweak on the app. So I've done a little bit of tweaking with that, but I'm fairly happy with it. And what you might want to look at potentially is if you're not that happy with your voice as it is, you can potentially go and get one which has got like a 3-band EQ, which you can then dial in on the fly on the mixer, which might be tempting. I mean, for me, from a personal point of view, not to blow my own trumpet, but the main reason that I've kind of got away and stayed relevant as a commentator for 10 years is people say I have a voice for radio. So even if the things I'm saying aren't necessarily right, I can kind of blag it and make it sound like I do. There we go, a little trade secret for you. So for me, I just want to make sure that I'm sounding the best that I can be, and this has helped. So the fact that I haven't got the ability to tweak EQ on the fly, not a huge issue for me. For you guys, if you want to like put an extra bit of bass end into your voice or that sort of thing, or make tweaks as you go, then maybe you want to think about that when you choose your mixer. But there are plenty of options out there, and this one I've got is a Yamaha. There's another one I was looking at, which was a Behringer. I think the Behringer ZenX series is a good one to go for. The main thing that you want to look out for, and maybe just look at reviews for this, is as commentators using mixers, we're going to live and die by our preamp. So the preamp is basically, well, it's a combination thing. It's either going to be your microphone and your preamp, which adds together to give you the quality and the clarity of the sound that you want. So for this, it's got, considering the price of the mixer, which was about 100 quid, I think, the mic preamps that are using it are the same ones that are used in high-end Stenberg and Yamaha mixers. So considering the price of it, that's a bonus. If you're going for a fairly cheap mixer, I mean, they're going to be on the lower end for the most part anyway, because all you really need is 1 or 2 XLR mic inputs and you're good. You don't need a massive 8-channel mixer to get you up and running. So you're going to be looking lower end anyway, but make sure that as far as the mic preamp goes, you get one which gets good reviews, high quality, etc., etc., and then you are going to be good. So, yeah, that's the main thing that I would suggest for you. Make sure that whatever you do, you are sounding the best that you possibly can be. And then for this and the headset, it cost me £225, pounds sterling. And just as a heads up, because I know exchange rates and that sort of thing, this was bought round about, let's see, I got them on Sunday, so it was the 11th of September 2016. Exchange rates and the like may end up changing, especially as far as things related to Europe and the UK go. So something to bear in mind. But £225 a few days ago in September 2016 got me this rig that I'm looking at. So automatically, if you're thinking, oh, okay, I'm going to go and buy this £100 headset and hope for the best, well, if you're going to do that, why not think about doing something like this instead? You can get a good quality mixer for a little bit less. You can go and get one for 80 quid, and that will go and do exactly the same thing as this. It might give you a little more options on the fly, perhaps, you know, things to work on. You can also, I think there's some that are even cheaper. They probably won't be USB, but you know, things you can look for. And if you know for a fact that it's only going to be you and you'll never have to plug another mic in, you can just get one that's got a single mic input, and you can get one that's even smaller, which is a bonus. Going to save you a little bit of money to start off. As far as headset goes, well, I kind of decided I either wanted Sennheiser or Audio-Technica and found the one, but I'm sure if you did, again, a bit more shopping around, you could probably find one which is going to be, again, much cheaper. And you could maybe put this thing together for the similar kind of money for what you'd spend for a high-end gaming headset, which is a factor that you might want to think about. And another thing to worry about as well, don't worry too much about the quality of the headphones as such, because I mean, worst comes to worst, if you don't want to do commentary and you want to play and the headset that you end up buying, the sound quality isn't quite what you want it to be, well, that doesn't matter, because all you've got to do is switch over your playback device on Windows, which is nice and easy. It's 2-3 clicks of a button. You can just switch back to your sound card, which has got your normal gaming headset plugged into it, and then you can just whip that on and play your game. And if you're talking to your teammates, the fact that your mic quality isn't all that good, well, doesn't really matter. And you can even run it so you just stick your headset just on your shoulders and then use the mic like that. Stick your normal gaming headset on top for your sound. You know, people do it all the time. We had to see players doing it at the ice series to make sure that they couldn't hear the commentators because it's all live and being played out. So they've got noise-cancelling headsets here. They've got their microphones sort of wrapped around their neck, and that's pretty much the way these things happen at events anyway. So you can kind of get around if you have to skimp on this part of it to get this part of it, and then it's super easy and good to go. And if you've got a headset mic rather than a desktop one, like I kind of touched on with the USB, if you've got clicking your mouse, something crazy, trying to make the headshots, well, that's not going to get picked up on your stream quite as much. And again, if you're doing production, you don't really want those mouse clicks coming through. So if it's all up here, then you're fine. And another advantage with a headset mic, you have to be quite up close and personal to the thing to pick it up. So if you need to cough, just side it up or pull it away from you, and you're absolutely fine. And it shouldn't come through too much, if at all. So, yeah, that's just a little comment for you. And if there's anything that you're looking at and you're not quite sure if anything's a good piece of kit, I'm not a huge expert. I've not used that much, but yeah, maybe send it my way and I can have a bit of a look for you and see if you're on the right lines. But yeah, that's my advice to you. Have a little look around, and I know it's tough to go and make this judgment call. I mean, there are people that I work with that are trying to make a full-time thing of this as commentators, and of course, if you're not sure where your next gig's going to come from, it takes a lot of guts to go and then splash £200 on your rig for your commentating. But you don't want it to hold you back either, because if the things that you're saying are exactly on point, but your sound quality's not there, then that's going to be a big problem, and people might switch off before they get to see what you can do. Because I mean, this is it. This is the product. The product is your voice and what you say. And if your voice isn't sounding as good as it could be, then you're not marketing yourself in the best possible way. And that's something that you've got to think about. And if you're talking, say, £200 to put this thing together, with exchange rates at the moment, that's probably about $200 as well, to be honest, then, I mean, it seems like a no-brainer to me. It's one event. One event, if you get the gig, will cover all of this equipment that you need to put together. And you'd still have to do that to get a half-decent headset. So it just seems like a good call. Investing in your equipment is investing in yourself and your career if this is something that you want to make happen. So make sure that you're blowing people away with the quality of it as well as the quality of your commentating, and you will go far, I'm sure. And, of course, the thing is, and I've gone and done it, I've gone and got myself this setup now, but think about the number of headsets I've had. I've spent £20 on, let's take these off so it doesn't get in the way, super high production again. I spent 20 quid on that. I think the Rocket K was a Christmas present, but there was 80 quid spent on that. The Plantronics headset where the microphone broke on that was over £100. So straight away you add those together, and then I've already gone and spent the money that I've spent on this, just getting to this point to realise that what I had wasn't good enough, and this is what I needed, and this was next level. So, I mean, all things considered, it's better to go and spend the money now and invest in it. It's like, do you go and buy yourself a 30 quid pair of shoes that's going to fall apart within a couple of months, you've got to buy a new one, or do you go and spend £80 on a pair of shoes, which is going to last you for years? It seems like a big jump to begin with, but when you work it all out and you go through the experience of buying a £30 pair of shoes and then having to do the same thing again in 3 months and thinking, oh, this is a drag, you kind of learn the hard way on it. So I would suggest, if you're thinking about doing this, as I say, spend the money now, get a good piece of equipment to get you going, make sure that you are the best that you can be as far as audio quality, and then the results will end up coming as a result of that. And as I say, any questions that you've got on it, any pieces of equipment that you're thinking about buying, then drop me a message, leave me a comment, that sort of thing, and I'll take a bit of a look at the stats and see if it's something that I would recommend you going for. But until then, catch you next time. As for the next part I'm going to do for this video, well, in short, I don't know. I think the next route I'm going to go down is how to kind of conduct yourself and how to negotiate and how to handle people that you might come across along the way. And also a series that I'd like to go into is kind of how the community of commentators has changed over the years since I started 10 years ago to now. There's been a real drastic change in things, and it's a change for the positive. So for you guys looking to get into it, it's probably worth watching that video as well, because it will give you a half-decent indication as to how things seem to be working now, and a way that you can get involved as such. And I think might be a good thing to start thinking about. So that's going to be coming up. It's probably going to be in the next couple of weeks where both of those videos that will get dropped. So yeah, keep it locked to the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. Give it a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. And then any comments, feedback, or any potential rigs that you're looking at, drop those in the comments and I'll have a look for you. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and catch you next time.